Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of 7 Minute Scaling Secrets, where we interview entrepreneurs and learn the secret on how they scaled up their businesses. Today we have a special guest, Willie Lee, who runs one of the most trusted content production companies in Asia. Willie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? This episode was brought to you by Superscaling. Join the foundation program today and learn how you can systemize and superscale your business so that you can get $100,000 a month at least with a productive team from all over the world, raving fans as clients, and happy founders who have true freedom. Visit superscaling.com/foundation today. And now back to the episode.
So thank you very much, Elvin, for inviting me to your podcast. And it's really a real honor to be in the presence of someone who has really succeeded in business and really to be on this podcast to actually share some of our views. So likewise, we'd also love to learn from you and really to grow together as well. So a little bit about my business. So I started the business in 2008. The business is about coming to 14 years. We are one of the largest content production companies in Singapore and also some say also in Asia. What we do ranges from multidisciplinaries from media. For example, we do video, we do animation, we do music. We even make, for example, media technologies like VR, AR, and also we sometimes also in the recent pursuits started to build like media technologies such as metaverses or ready-made metaverses for our clients. So this is essentially what we do in the entire Big Three group of companies.
Nice. Let the audience know. I'm sure you have some notable brands that you have under your entire portfolio. What are some brands that that our audience might have heard of?
So just to add from there, I mean, one of some of the notable brands that we have usually are our media outlets. So we have, for example, Safely.com, which is a food blogging site. It's actually the #1 most trafficked site in Singapore. If you want to find good food, you can go check them out. Also, how about, for example, one of our CSR enterprises called The Hidden Good? They are also a media outlet actually focusing on uncovering the good in society. So that's what they do. And of course, now really, we also have a YouTube channel called Three Potatoes. So Three Potatoes is a comedy, a kind of a lifestyle channel that talks about like different stereotypes in society. And really it's just to garner attention and really to have fun in that particular YouTube channel as well. So that's something that's quite noticeable. In the areas of service, we, of course, one of our HO companies, Big Tree Media, which does video and also creative. We also have Crave FX, which is our animation company. And of course, we have a technology company called Massive Infinity that does media technology or even enterprise solutions in total. And we are in currently now in 3 different markets: in Singapore, in India, in Mumbai, as well in China, in both Xi'an and Shanghai. So that's where we are right now in the whole grand scheme of Big Three Group.
Oh, I love it. I mean, those are the brands that as a consumer and as a business I hear about and I absolutely love because I follow that content as well. But how about a typical business? How does a typical business make use of all these content, and how can a business grow their themselves or grow their revenue or grow their customers through content production that you do?
I think that's a very, very common question and also a very important question for a lot of businesses. Is I think that the main thing of how you actually can even close the first sale is whether you're getting your customers' attention in the first place. And so most businesses, when they come to us, is really to see how am I going to be able to get that attention from people who don't know about my business or even don't know about my service. Where and when should I be targeting them? How do I even target them, for example? And that's where we actually come in to say, like, for example, content and where you deploy that piece of content to garner that attention is very critical for any entrepreneur, any business that's trying to establish themselves in the market.
Nice. And like, I mean, when we talk about businesses, there's an entire customer journey that I tell my coaching clients as well, because we want to look from anywhere from the start where the customer isn't even a customer yet. The customer is not even a prospect, is a stranger, right? Somebody who has never heard of your brand, maybe never heard of the industry that you're in, doesn't even know about you or your business being the solution to their pain points. In that case, something that a content piece that's produced is probably going to be very different from, say, a prospect or a ready, warm lead who's like just about to buy, what are the differences that you bring to the table, like in this, like that businesses can learn from, like in terms of content production? How does that differ?
So I think the first and foremost and the premise is really to understand the user journey of how a client actually gets to understand who you are and what you are. And really, this is really summarized in this thing called the 5 stages of awareness. So what are the 5 stages of awareness? So let me just briefly just run you through. So the first stage is the client is unaware. Client is unaware that you exist. Or even to say they're unaware that they actually have a problem.
Yeah.
So that's the first one, right? The second one is they are aware of the problem. So it's called problem aware. They know they have a problem to solve, but they're unaware of any specific solution. So that's problem aware. The third stage is called solution aware. They know they need a solution, or they already know what kind of solution they require, but they don't know any specific products to solve it, right? And the next one is called product aware. They know your product exists, but uncompletely aware of all it does and unconvinced of how it does as well. So that's problem aware, product aware. The last one is they're most aware, right? They know of your product and what it does, but they haven't gotten around to purchasing your product. So these 5 stages of awareness is very critical in understanding how you're going to be deploying and getting the attention of the customer. What kind of content goes into what part of the stage in the entire client journey?
Wow. And as a typical business, like how does that play out? Like if a business is just starting out, or maybe is has been around for a while, what kind of content pieces are we talking about here? Are we talking about written content like articles? Are we talking about videos? Are we talking about social media? How does that look like?
So it really depends, and I think the number one question really depends on your target audience and what exactly are they most, how would I say, most easily influenced, or the easiest accessibility you have to the particular client. It doesn't matter whether it's video or even it's graphics or even articles. The main area is that if you understand your business and you understand your client and where they will most likely try to find out their problems and their solutions, then the best way is to target them at those areas where that medium actually excels the best.
Nice. I think that's something that is part of any business in terms of growing or scaling a business. Number one, identifying who you are targeting. Number two, identifying the stage of the customer journey that they are in. And number three, identifying the appropriate content, not just in terms of the medium, whether it's written, video, graphics, whatever, but also the message, which is what you are actually telling them about at that point of their journey to whoever it is.
Exactly. And just to add, I think you definitely correctly summarize what exactly the whole idea is. If you try to, for example, tell a client about your product when the client is not even aware they have this problem, you're going to run into a wasted amount of marketing dollars. So, for example, your product, let's say you're a plumber, right? For example, I have the best way to flush and make your toilet bowl flush most efficiently, and you save money from it. But the person is, for example, is at the unaware stage. They didn't know they're spending so much money on water or even cleaning, for example, their plumbing. They're not going to be converting with you essentially. So it's very important that you put that correct piece of content and messaging at the correct phase of targeting that client.
Nice. But does that mean that businesses need to spend a lot on education though? Because it sounds like in the plumber example, businesses need to educate the customer first, right? Can they come in at another point of the customer journey? Maybe when the customer is already like solution aware, pain aware, and they are ready to buy?
Most definitely. And just citing that same plumber, basically that case study, right? It's very simple. A person who actually try to buy from you is when they actually notice that their plumbing has a problem.
Yeah.
The question is, how are you going to be targeting them when they have that same pain? At that moment when they're pain, what will they be doing? Will they be searching online? Will they be looking at their door and basically taking, like, for example, the first contact they see to see, hey, who has the best plan? Will they be asking their friends? Or really, you need to give them an idea like, hey, I've heard of this number or this person before. I know when to call when I have a problem. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to start right at the beginning from someone who is unaware with you. You can start at the point where they're searching for the solution. But it really depends on your client and which stage is the best way to actually introduce your solution or introduce yourself at each stage of the entire funnel.
Cool. Is that something that you help your clients with as well?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, definitely one of the areas that we do is really to put the correct kind of content at the correct phase of the awareness. If we put the wrong kind of content in each of the phases, we are not going to get the desired result or the conversions or even get the sale for our clients if they want to have more business, for example.
This actually sounds like it also involves a bit of branding, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the quality of your brand, right? And really, if for example, people vouch for your brand, or if you have, if you command a lot of respect in your, for example, your brand equity, and people really say, you know, this is something that exudes trust, or this is something that really can solve my problem, the chances of you converting with the client is a lot higher. But I would say that brand equity, or really the brand, is really one of the most important things that you can do for your business, because you don't want to get a bad reputation. And when some, let's say you're a really good funnel where you know where to target your clients, but when they see your brand and they go like, oh no, this company cannot make it, then we're going to have a real problem there in converting. You actually have to spend more money trying to correct an image issue that you have than actually trying to convert them for actually an actual sale. So really, I think for all entrepreneurs, when you're starting or even down the road where you're a very mature business, brand reputation and brand protection and ensuring that your brand basically communicates the correct kind of solution or correct kind of like impression to your audience is fundamental to any business.
That's really interesting. Like, do you have an example of like maybe one of the most common branding mistakes that businesses make in terms of things that hurt their brand reputation or their brand image?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the most common problems that I face with my clients essentially is they are trying to create a brand that doesn't suit what they stand for, and this dissonance actually confuses the client in the marketplace. Like for example, if you are outstanding in reliability and really you are very consistent with your kind of product and consistent in experience and you are very predictable, if you try to brand your brand, for example, your business as someone that's like really like out there and highly innovative, you may signal something really different to your clients and they may not transact with you without your base and your foundation of being reliable. And sometimes that dissonance actually creates it's almost like you have to start from scratch again or start from square one, where the client needs to change their perception of what you already established in the marketplace. So that is actually a lot of people, a lot of companies that I advise for actually spend a lot of money, unless of course you want to change your image or you want to change the direction of the business. Yes, that warrants it, but usually that's actually one of the common mistakes I find, or rather common problems that I find in most businesses.
Oh man, yeah. Oh wow, that's something that it brings to mind. I think this is something that businesses need to know about. There are a few issues. One issue is the shiny object syndrome, right? Somebody that has
Yeah.
natural strengths and natural abilities in a given area, like for example, what you said, reliability, now starts to be distracted by what everyone else is doing and starts maybe considering other aspects. Instead of reliability, they go for innovation or they go for like performance or something like that. And when they do that, their brand message starts to be diluted and distracting or confusing to customers. I mean, one great example is Volvo, right? Volvo is a brand that when people think of Volvo, they think of safety. Now, I can imagine the dissonance and the confusion that will happen once Volvo launches, like, I don't know, sports cars or like really fancy, like, fast cars, because then it just goes completely against what I think Volvo stands for. And in that case, right, I'll be like, I'm confused. Do I want something like a fast, sporty, like, a BMW or something? Or do I want safety and reliability, which is what I was supposed to be getting when I get a Volvo? I think that's a problem that I face with my coaching clients as well, right? And it goes back into like being very, very clear about what your business stands for, what is it that you're bringing to the table, and how you are different to the other competitors out there. I think, yeah, I think it is one of the key things that happens in like not just branding, but like in your business. Essentially what your business stands for.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Volvo example is a very good example. If I may add, one example could be, for example, Apple trying to price its computers as the cheapest in the market. And that's going to be disastrous for Apple, I believe, because Apple has a sort of like a brand impression of like high levels of creativity, high levels of experience. And when they say they are really, really like a cheap, frills-free kind of like product, that's going to be hurting their image, and essentially they're not going to be commanding, and their customers are going to get confused, like what are you trying to be, right? So I think this is very important, that you need to be on point with what you're trying to communicate with your clients, with your brand.
Yeah, okay, so that really struck a personal nerve because a personal pain, because I went through that myself. My company that I used to run, Vodian, we were supposed to be a premium brand and all that, right? But just to get more market share, we wanted to explore budget plans and budget hosting, and that was a disaster. It was a complete like nightmare. Customers were confused. Existing customers were also confused. New customers were even more confused, and we ended up just hurting ourselves as well, because we spent so much time, effort, money into investing into something that was completely off brand and off strategy. So I think that's something that I agree with 100%. Businesses need to be clear on these things before they can actually go to their customers and attract the right kind of customers to the right kind of product.
Absolutely, totally
Love
agree.
it. Yeah, thank you so much. I think this is really good info and insight from especially a content production house like yourself, that tells customers, that tells businesses essentially on what really to focus on, because content production is such a wide field, such a wide area, that I think if people start focusing on the basics and the fundamentals, they can start looking at how they can also create like sound content production strategies on their own. So thank you, Willie. Please let our listeners know how best can they reach out to you.
All right, thanks for that really flattering introduction of myself. I think what people can do is they can find me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn handle is Willie-Lee. If you see this guy that describes himself as the big guy at the big company with a big heart, that's me. You can feel free to reach out to me if there are any questions regarding content or even the different kinds of user journey that you want to construct for your businesses. I'll be free, if I can, I'll be free to actually answer your questions, really answer some of the pertinent questions that's actually relevant to your business as well.
Love it. I'll put a link down in the description below also so that people can follow that. Thank you so much, Willie. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to yet another episode of 7-Minute Scaling Secrets. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. Please like, subscribe, share, review this podcast if you like it, and we'll keep more coming your way. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.